Okay. Everyone, I'm going to call to order the Environmental Commission meeting. It's August 10th, 2021, and we'll start with a roll call. Dominique, could you help us with roll call?
Sure. Commissioner Randazzo.
Here.
Commissioner DeVal. Commissioner Tu. Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Abraham Pani.
Here.
Commissioner Murphy.
Here.
Vice Chair Mollet. And Chair Rayak.
Here.
You do have a quorum.
Great. All right, so before we open it up for public comment, I just want to make a note about our agenda this evening. We are going to move item 5B to the next meeting, both in the interest of time and to give us an opportunity to think a little bit about the topic and maybe brainstorm some ideas before the meeting, just to enrich that conversation. So if there are any questions or thoughts you have about that item, please email them to Beth and she'll just start holding on to all of them. And our meeting tonight will be shorter, as I was just mentioning. We will have to end around 6 or 6:10 just due to logistical issues. All right, so I'll bring it back and see if there are any public comments on anything that's not on the agenda.
To Lacey and Dominique as well. Dominique, do you think we need to vote on removing that item from the agenda?
Once you get to that item, a motion can be made to move the item to the next meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, is there anybody here for public comment?
Chair, there are no members of the public present at this time.
Thanks, Dominique. Okay, we'll move on to approval of minutes. Is there a motion on the minutes from our last meeting, July 13th, 2021?
Before we make a motion, I'd like to ask that committee be changed to commission on the minutes. I'm noting that the request has been made to change committee to commission in all the other associated documents and on the city website as well.
Thank you, Kira. Is there a motion on the minutes beyond Kira's? Or a second to Kira's motion? Kira, that was a motion, right?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, but change references of environmental committee to environmental commission.
Thank you for clarifying. Is there a second?
A second.
And I believe we need to do a roll call.
Yes. Commissioner Randazzo.
Aye.
Commissioner Abraham Pani.
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy.
Aye.
Commissioner Mollet.
Aye.
And Chair Rayak.
Aye.
Your motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to business items, we have the PIP4 update. For those of you that are not already aware, it passed unanimously, which was wonderful news. Thank you to everyone on this commission who's worked so hard to make that happen. And thank you to the council members and to Beth and any other staff person that was involved in helping us bring that across the finish line. The next steps, Beth, you can maybe walk us through some of this, but our next steps are to really think about the RFP and getting someone hired to help lead and coordinate the education and outreach for that policy. There was a meeting of the Plastics Coalition, which is a regional group, yesterday, and we talked a little bit about coordinating efforts region-wide, but I really emphasized that we're going to continue to just move forward with implementing the Seaside policy or getting ready for its implementation, which is set for March 1st. So I think at some point we may need to make a decision around what portion of the funds goes to helping businesses with grants, and what portion goes to just the education and outreach portion and coordination of the implementation of the policy. Beth, did you have anything you wanted to add about that?
No, that's fine how you did it. It's
Okay.
enough for now. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions from the commission members on PIT 4?
I'd like to know the next steps on the $30,000 budget item. So I imagine it will involve an RFP. Will this commission be involved in reviewing the RFP and ensuring that the scope of work matches what we feel is needed for compliance?
Yeah, that's sort of what I was just talking about. Sorry if that wasn't clear. So that 30,000, we'll have to determine what portion of that goes to businesses for grants and what portion goes to the outreach. And once we have that determination, then the RFP will be sort of solicit RFPs, and Beth knows more about the internal workings of that process. But the first thing we need to do is just set the amount. So if it's 25,000 and 5,000 for grants, or 20,000 and 10,000 for grants, it's not ultimately up to us. I don't think. I think council has to get involved maybe to determine some of that. Yeah.
Thanks.
So
Thanks, Lacey. And are the grants administered by the consultant?
that would be ideal within the bounds of like what the city has to have some control over, I would imagine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Laura?
I kind of just wanted to butt into the conversation about to what extent are we going to be relying on consultants and other partners in the community to ultimately execute the outreach as well as this concept of grant administration, and to what extent are we as a commission intending to take that on? I think that'll make the cost.
I mean, we'll have to look at all of the different elements that we'd want to include in the RFP, but my vision at this point is that they would coordinate all the different stakeholders. So some of you may remember last spring, I had a meeting with like Save the Whales and M1W, Green Waste, Monterey Regional Waste Management District, Surfrider, all of these different entities that have some sort of interest in the success of this policy and are ready and willing to help us with implementing the policy. I don't think any of us on the commission have the capacity to coordinate all of those different people who want to help. And so the role of the consultant would be to work with all of those different entities. So it's not that the consultant is just doing it all. It's that they might develop a website and they might do some of the infrastructure pieces, but they might also do that coordination of different pieces. So if Save the Whales wants to create a draft signage for businesses about balloons to be approved by the city, that's fine. That's wonderful. We still want that. But it's not going to be us as a committee that's saying, okay, you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this. That'll be the consultant to coordinate that work and to keep it moving forward.
Right. That sounds like it would be more efficient.
And manageable for us.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But where are we at this point then in identifying that consultant and beginning that process?
I mean, I know of a couple groups, but as soon as we can make the determination on what the amount will be, then I think we can ask for, I don't know what the bid process is for the city, but Beth can either
Need more information in order to make that determination about what it would cost for the consultant to be able to effectively do that work.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a chicken and egg thing.
Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna somewhere. We, as a commission, ultimately approach consultants that would be qualified and request bids.
I think so. This is getting into an area though that I'm not familiar with, so I don't know what the process is for the city. And I don't know, Beth, do you have anything you would want to add?
Yeah, we would need to do an RFP, but there's nothing against you guys calling out people that you've worked with in the past or are aware of in the community that has done this type of work to get a general idea from them, or to even see scope of what they've submitted for before, what they've done in terms of work for another jurisdiction. So I don't think it's that difficult. It is more, like Lacey has said a few times, deciding on if we do want to incorporate a grant program as part of that, so money goes directly to businesses versus the money going to the consultant to do the outreach, or maybe direct some funding towards one of the stakeholder groups that does work in the area. That's potentially possible. So even if we were to discuss and say, you know what, $5,000 sounds good, but in reality, would, you know, a handful of dollars here and there make sense? It could even start with us looking at the cost of some of the products by getting in touch with one of the businesses that has transitioned and kind of comparing that against what the current costs are for somebody else. So there's some work that needs to be done to make that decision if there's going to be a grant aspect. If there's not going to be a grant aspect, then we just need to start to define the scope that we want included in that RFP.
Yeah, and we do have something from Environmental Innovations, which is the group that we reached out to earlier in this process, because they've done something similar in San Mateo County. So we have that as sort of a baseline RFP response, but it wasn't through a formal process. It was just sort of more of an information gathering piece. So I think Beth and I maybe should just talk offline and sort of get a better handle on what the next steps are and what our role is as a commission, and what the city or city council's role is in terms of using these funds. Does that sound right to you, Beth?
Yeah, we're good with that.
Okay. Any other questions on the PIP 4?
I would just like to add that I think, you know, if we have a consultant, if we're hiring a consultant ultimately that's assisting businesses as part of the coordination of, you know, implementation and outreach to assist them with a transition to different types of materials, providing someone that can provide real technical assistance ultimately in identifying and purchasing those alternative products would be, I don't know if it would be the same consultant ultimately that coordinates the outreach effort, that would also coordinate kind of identifying what would be appropriate grant requests if we are intending to provide grants to businesses, but that technical assistance component would be important to include if we are.
Sure.
That's all.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Laura. Any public comment on this item?
Chair, there are no members of the public present at this time.
Great. Well, okay, thank you. All right, and then moving on to item B. So this is the agenda item that I had requested we move to the next meeting. Is there a motion to support that?
I motion that we move agenda item 5B to the next regularly scheduled meeting.
I second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote.
Chair, can you confirm the second?
Timothy Randazzo seconded.
Thank you. Commissioner Randazzo,
Aye.
Commissioner Abraham Pani,
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy,
Aye.
Vice Chair Mollet,
Aye.
and Chair Rayak.
Aye.
Your motion passes unanimously.
Okay, let's move on then to reports from commissioners. I'm going to start actually, if that's okay. Much of my report was around the PIP 4, so we covered all of that. And then when Laura goes, I'll talk a little bit about the pollinator. Are you going to talk about the pollinator event, or do you want me to?
the park tour in October. I was intending
Yeah.
to discuss it, but feel free.
Okay, I'll leave it. I'll leave it to you, and then I'll just chime in with something I wanted to add. So, the only other item that I wanted to mention was that this meeting will be Kira's last meeting, and so I just wanted to publicly thank her for all of the work that she has done to support the commission. She's a founding member and has been with us for the long haul. So, really appreciate you showing up, doing the work, and supporting the city of Seaside to the extent that you have. It's been invaluable. Your technical expertise, your thoughtfulness, critical thinking, and inclusivity around building this commission to be strong and effective has been deeply, deeply valuable. And I'm very grateful for your contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Lacey. It's been my honor to serve with all of you, and I've learned a lot in the process about our city, about civic engagement, about specifically how the process of drafting and engaging the community and moving forward a significant community ordinance through the PIT 4. So I thank you all. Unfortunately, I would love to stay on service, but the time conflicts with another volunteer board that I sit on. So it felt like a natural time to pass the reins to commissioners to come, and I'll be reaching out to my network to try to recruit more applicants for the commission, and so I look forward to supporting the commission's ongoing work as a resident, and hope you all will stay in touch. I'm certainly available to help with PIT 4 implementation and championing, again, in my role as a resident. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Kira. All right, are there any other commission members? I can just go around the circle if that's easier. If I'm looking at my screen, Laura Murphy, you would be next.
So for subcommittee updates for the Habitat subcommittee, we continue as always with the FOSPA sponsored park work days, upgrading and enhancing and managing our pollinator habitat. So this weekend, Saturday from 10 to 12, we will be at Farallones Park. An event is planned for a park tour. Sustainable Seaside is taking the lead on planning that event, and Catherine Crockett came to our last meeting to present some preliminary information about that to us as a commission and invite us to participate. And Kristen, we also both have participated in components of planning for that. So that has a final date and time. It will be Saturday, October 2nd from 1 to 4 p.m. And advertising will start for that. I'm not exactly sure when, but probably in September or later this month. We will have pollinator plants that were grown out on a volunteer basis from seeds collected from some of the original Xerces Society pollinator plants that we received as a commission, as a grant, and planted in our parks. So that's very exciting to be able to provide to the public for their own gardens. We will have plant ID and other activities. So it should be lots of fun for the whole family. We'll have a biking map to all of the park sites. So please look out for that advertising, plan to attend, plan to invite all of your friends and neighbors. That's the park tour, pollinator activities. We are starting to gear up at this point in time, starting to put in pre-orders for plant materials. There will be planting will be the focus starting in November for all of the Saturday work days at our pollinator sites. And so we will be putting in brand new habitat, expanding all of our planted areas as part of our Bee City USA compliance activities, and making our communities wonderful. There was some discussion about at the last Saturday Park Workday about neighborhood cleanup and public space cleanup outside of the parks, litter abatement essentially, and street sweeping. And so that's a theme that is present and happening that I think will probably come through our commission at some point sooner than later. I think that catches me up on everything.
Thank you, Laura. I'm going to add two things onto Laura's comments. One regarding the park tour. Timothy, I can send an email to you and Chelsea about this, but I wanted to mention it. There's passports that will be part of this tour. And one thing that I would like to do is to have maybe coupons for local seaside restaurants or businesses on the back of those or somewhere within those passports, so that after people are done enjoying our beautiful parks and they work up an appetite, they can visit a local establishment to get 10% off a meal or a $5 coupon or something like that. So as the economic working group, I'd love to have your support in maybe reaching out to some businesses and finding some that might be willing to advertise and do some sort of promo for the event. So because Chelsea isn't here, I'll just put what I said into an email and send it to both of you. But if you talk to her before I do, please let her know. And then the other thing regarding litter, I was there for that conversation. And I also realized that September 18th is World Cleanup Day. So it's right around the corner, but it might be a good time to try to just throw something together to get out into the streets and clean them up a bit. Because man, I came back from 2 months in Minnesota and was just shocked again by all of the litter on our streets. So those were my 2 comments to add. Laura, I saw your hand, and then Kristen.
Thank you. That gave me an opportunity to check my notes and realize I missed a few things. So just
Okay.
the next meeting for planning this park tour, we would still welcome anyone that wants to help plan and execute all of the activities and participate. The next scheduled meeting will be Wednesday, the 18th of August at 5 p.m. In case anyone wants to participate in that meeting, you can contact Sustainable Seaside, or you can, of course, contact me and I can get you in touch with information on how to attend. It's a Zoom meeting. Also, Friends of Seaside Parks Association skipped their July meeting. Their next meeting will be on August 23rd at 6 p.m. And I had mentioned during our last meeting, I was intending to pursue an application for a USDA grant for community garden activities, essentially, for planning. And that grant deadline has passed and we did not submit an application, but I am still working at pulling together the community resources and the narrative to define a project that would be competitive for that type of grant opportunity. And so that process is still in motion, and I'm continuing to kind of have those conversations and solicit input and ideas. So if everyone will just keep that in mind and continue coalescing all of the resources that would be necessary to have a really competitive application, that's where we're at as far as that process. Now I'm done. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Kristen.
Right, and please let me know my connection's a little bit rough this evening, if you can hear me.
Sort of.
Oh, can you not hear me? You can sort of hear me?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, my connection's a little rough. I'm gonna try and stand somewhere that gets a good signal. We'll see if this works.
That's better.
I just wanted to add, okay, good to know I'm in a good spot. Yeah, Laura did a great job reporting back and following up with our park plan. I just wanted to add, especially for the communication you're going to send to Chelsea and Timothy, one of the aspects I want to support with is paperless passport and like bike route mapping and stuff, and to make sure that we have that. So I want to make sure that we can include any coupons in that, so people don't feel obliged to take a piece of paper just to get a business coupon. And so I am happy to explore the method by which things would be delivered if they want to explore the businesses who would like to offer coupons. And so if that's something that we find, I just want Timothy and Chelsea to follow up with me so that we can make sure that people who don't take paper but do use their smartphone to participate in our park tour will still be able to have that incentive to patronize seaside businesses.
Great, thanks. Yeah, your help with that will be very valuable. and appreciated.
We're looking forward to it.
Okay. Let's see. Kristen, did you have any other comments or reports?
No, yeah, the last month has been supporting the park tour as well with Laura and coming up with some of that content there. Although it is good that we were talking about litter abate, because one of the ideas that I hadn't heard me thrown out yet was for kind of acts of service actions, like, oh, hey, welcome to get your stamp. Please do this task, small environmentally friendly task. So some of that litter abatement might be a good thing to incorporate in some of those locations. So we're all thinking about it.
Okay. All right. Timothy, do you have any updates or reports?
Yeah, just a brief one. Thank you both, Laura and Kristen, for bringing that up, and Lacey. I think that is definitely something that we can look into, and we will support. I'm meeting with Chelsea tomorrow, so we'll talk about it then. And I do have some ideas for how we can make that a paperless option for smartphone users. So I will definitely follow up with you, Kristen. Thanks for bringing that up. That's amazing. Yeah, just a brief report. We have been continuing with the outreach for the community fair event. We've been reaching out to, I reached out to Brothers Promotions, who put on the Monterey Outdoor Market. I don't know if anyone went to that, but it was a pretty great model for what we're trying to achieve. And they agreed to give us a vendor list of all of their businesses in Seaside who may want to participate. So we're going to look at that. And then we have been, we contacted Laura, and Laura gave us a list of a bunch of CSAs within the area. So we're looking to have a CSA group come and guide residents to subscribe to their services. And there's a few other things that we are doing outreach for. So we're just continuing with that. It seems like we're going to have the event on October 3rd at Laguna Grande, in collaboration with the last event of the Blues in the Park Festival. So we're just continuing the outreach with that. We'll have a more comprehensive update next time we meet.
Thanks. Can you just remind me, Timothy, the Blues in the Park folks, they were amenable to the collaboration?
Yes, they were.
Great. Thanks. Kira, I'll give you an opportunity as a commissioner to provide any reports.
Oh gosh, well, I think you already covered it, Lacey, with the PIP Forest passage and me stepping off the commission. So really not much more to say other than you all rock. And our city's fabulous.
Okay. Thank you, Kira, again, for all your work. And to all of you for all of your work and the great updates. Obviously, lots of things are moving and shaking. All right, since I think the subcommittee updates were included in the reports, yes. Beth, do you have any reports?
I don't.
Okay. With that, we will adjourn our meeting. Shortest meeting I think we've ever had. And we will meet again on September 13th, but look forward to, oh, Kristen, sorry, I just saw your hand up. Did you have anything to add?
I just as a fun note, with the PIP 4 passage, we did get a shout out from the Monterey Bay Aquarium's main Twitter channel in support of the city of Seaside. And so lots of people on the internet are happy for Seaside. So if any of you are social media users, feel free to send that around to celebrate our city. Good work, everyone.
That's great. Yeah, thank you. Beth, I see your hand too.
Yeah, never mind. Sorry.
Okay. All right, then with that, we will adjourn. Our next meeting will be September 13th and look forward to seeing many of you at work days and 14th, what, 15th?
Tuesday, the 14th.
41st, it's backwards for me.
5:30 p.m. Tuesday, September 14th.
Thanks, Laura. You're always keeping me on it. All right, I'll talk to